This one is called Pinball Machine and the Cycletron. And so I knew that I was going to write something and even maybe play a song. Sometimes I write songs and they come up with different aspects of a song and whatnot. And I was going to call it the Pinball Machine. And you know, in the arcades and things like that, you've got this pinball machine and the little ball takes a wrapping and a hit from all directions or whatever. But I knew, and I searched through some of my books, and here I come up with this article. It's called Pinball Machine and the Cycletron. And this isn't terribly long, but it's very, very interesting. And here's the way it goes. And so I'm just going to read this, and kind of maybe it's self-explanatory. So here's the way it goes. The Earth and all life on it could be miniaturized in size, and of course, all this relative, so that we do not even know that. The simplest atom is hydrogen, which is so needed in so many forms for life on Earth. Think about even the hydrogen bomb. So all of a sudden, there's two contrasts there, okay? Hydrogen being something that's necessary for life on Earth, but you take a look at the other aspects of hydrogen, and you think of the destruction that man can put together and put together some of these bombs. Earth could be the nucleus of the hydrogen atom, and this is just kind of philosophizing, and one of my majors in university was physics and philosophy. Earth could be the nucleus of the hydrogen atom, and the moon is the electron. Just imagine. So like we could be living in a kind of a large sense on basically like an atom, okay? And atoms are structured in a very, very similar way to what we see the moon going around the Earth and the Earth going around the sun and the other planets and so on. So that's what it means. Just imagine. The pinball machine is fired by God, and all these rock objects come traveling through space, and some hitting Earth and the moon. Here is a scientifically proven fact. A large object recently passed close to the Earth, and one hit Jupiter and was seen on huge Earth telescopes. Now this is even current. Every so often you'll hear on the news that some huge big object, and these aren't small objects, some of them are huge, just like a supersized battleship or whatever, are coming cruising into our solar system, and they don't know where it's going to hit, they don't know where it's going to go. We've got astronauts and satellites up in space right now. All the junk that's flying through space, these satellites could be hit by some of these smaller objects that are traveling through space, or whatever the case may be. Okay, let's take out the imagining and take science proof to another level. On this Earth, scientists have invented huge cyclotrons spinning at high speeds to send electrons into objects that blow apart. The result is nuclear explosions, which are related to concepts called fission and fusion. That could be what happened when Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, a biblical account of two cities that got destroyed because of their disobedience and sin. Anyway, some out-of-the-box thinking and imagining. In other words, okay, I'm taking this to a different level and just saying, okay, what we could be seeing here is some large form of what actually exists in miniaturization, and scientists have studied this. God does give us thinking abilities and talents to do the most amazing things. We could have long ago put these creative talents to use for good rather than evil or war. Like when you come right down to it, what's all the argument about here? You know, like even in Israel right now, okay, with what happened in Israel a couple of years ago, in October I believe it was, okay, that they got attacked by a Palestinian group and Hamas in that group, and 1,260 people were killed and hostages were taken. And to this day now, a few years later, they haven't even returned all the hostages. And so people are trying to tell Israel, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. But Israel, in fact, in its importance in the Bible, okay, are not going to necessarily listen to what the world has to say to them. And because it didn't work before, and it probably won't work now. The earth at present is filled with greed and corruption. There's no mistake in that comment at all. It's getting worse by the day. And if you took a look at the map of Israel and saw the thin little country that Israel is compared to some of the vastness, and the word vastness is not even the proper emphasis there, the vastness of other countries. Israel is so small to be fighting for its own existence, which is actually biblical, that it should be fighting for its own existence and whatnot. And the landmass that, is probably not populated a lot in China and Russia, Alaska, places like that. Canada is not that hugely populated, but we've got a large mass in terms of land. Everyone is out for himself. Nobody's thinking about helping their brother or helping people, neighbors or whatever. Even neighbors, you don't know who's moving into your own neighborhood. You don't know who's driving a vehicle on the streets. People are on cell phones. My wife and I pass them all the time. They're looking down on the road, okay, looking at their cell phones as they're traveling on the road. And if there was a piece of equipment that is totally good on one hand and totally bad on the other, it's these cell phones and all of this electronic stuff that they're putting into play. Back when I started my teaching, there were no cell phones. There were no things to worry about like that. Sure, kids got into trouble. They annoyed one another. They kind of, not beat up on each other or whatever, but kind of took sides or whatever and stuff like that. But it wasn't anywhere near what it is today. And back then when I was teaching, I could discipline in a classroom in ways that probably I would get in trouble today using those same kinds of discipline. But it was equitable and it was fair. And the teacher is in charge and not the kids. And the kids are supposed to be learning their ABCs, reading, writing, and arithmetic and stuff like that. And in order to get on into the future, to get decent jobs and things like that. So these education things are very, very important at the same time. In my way of thinking, our God wants these priorities in our lives first. Okay, and because of the fact that my wife and I are believers, Christian faith believers, here's what we're going to end this episode with, okay? God wants this to happen. Number one, God first in faith, belief, and action. Number two, welfare of mankind first, and not warfare. Number three, look after his created environment. When I do research right now about the environment, they say, is one of the most polluted things that are going. Plastics are polluting our environment. There's an increase in cancers. People would rather be out socializing and drinking and eating like crazy in stadiums or watching football. Salaries are way out of whack. They're paying people millions and millions of dollars to be, on these sports teams and things like that, and not sharing the money equitably to people who need it. So we're in bad shape, basically, and everybody out there watching this knows that. Fair sharing, there it is, fair sharing. People brag about the fact, and we know, I'm not going to mention the names of them or whatever, but billions of dollars. They say that they have billions of dollars. Well, what is that money in the end going to buy? If the Bibles are predicting and saying what's happening true, there's going to be life in the heavens, there's going to be a rapture, people of God and faith are going to be taken up and out of this world, and the rest are going to be destroyed with lava flowing all over the place. So I don't know if you want to spend your money on that, or do you want to share it equitably with all kinds of people. And in fact, the disciples in the New Testament gave a lot of their money away and joined with the fellowship of believers and lived with them and tried to get other people to follow the faith. Fair sharing, helping others, and trading by using talents in an economy. There's something very, very incredible. Talents. I can't believe the number of talents that different people have, whether it's music, building construction, working in other things like building aircraft, ships and boats and racing cars, or whatever the case may be. The talents that mankind have for being creative is just awesome. I know I've got talents in certain areas and things like that, but I often say to my wife, I don't understand that. I can't even conceive that. I don't know how that takes place or whatever. Like putting together a big airplane and making sure that all the parts fit together when they start to put this airplane together. I don't know how that happens. I know there's factories all over the place or whatever, but my mind just doesn't go in that direction. Our God is so much bigger and more capable than we are on this earth. And that's definitely proven out in fact, in absolute fact. What we're doing as normal people or ordinary people upon the earth or whatever, in general terms, general population, right across the board, things are not looking very good, and I don't see them improving very quickly or very fast or whatever. And we've seen programs on what the 2 atomic bombs did, okay, on Japan, and those things just level everything in sight or whatever. So we definitely don't want to see those things going off in places anywhere on the planet. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for coming in. Hopefully down the road there'll be maybe more episodes or whatever, but you got to turn to 8 Eagles Gather on YouTube to see some of these videos, or go to the one where the fellow in Brandon works at putting my videos and my things together and putting them on 8 Eagles Gather, and his site is in small letters FCV, and stands for First Cut Videos, and then the word Productions, FCV Productions, small letters with an S at the end of Productions. So goodbye for now. Good to be here with you, and hopefully you enjoy these videos, and you can actually help out and do something about some of the things that are happening in our land and in our country. Okay, bye-bye for now.